The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
Yes, it is magic time. Welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show. I am one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
I'm the other host, Warren Van.
Episode 53 of the Warren and Bradley Show.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It still isn't a year. I've given up on the whole 1 year
I
anniversary
discussed that
thing.
with someone the other day, and they were like, "So is this going to be the one?" And then I was doing the math about what day it would come out, and I was like, "That wouldn't quite be a year
Not
from the
quite.
date."
No, whatever. I think the actual year, like December 4th, will be right in the middle of the week when we don't have an episode out or something. So I don't care.
Should we? You want to do a special? We're not going to do
I
anything
don't know.
special.
We probably won't do it. The only thing that I would do would probably be getting some like sound effects of people applauding and cheering in the background or something like that. Be like, our 1 year anniversary.
I like the idea of us doing something special, considering like I just show up here and we just sit down and start
talk.
the show.
Yeah, there's not a lot of preparation going on. I mean, I try to look up Celebrity Minute and I write things down throughout the week.
We did
to
do the
talk
sound
about,
check thing, and you considered like you kept doing like that sound check laugh you like to do, even into the show this time. Yeah,
that's a good laugh.
Yeah,
we'll see. I've got maybe some new features in the works and things like that. We'll figure some stuff out.
It's been a long time since we had a new feature.
Yeah. Anyway, Thanksgiving weekend. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was good.
Did you do the Friendsgiving or the family Thanksgiving?
I did the Friendsgiving. It was at my house.
Yeah.
So we had many of our friends over at my house, and we had some turkey, and we drank wine.
That's nice.
Oh, it was just a lovely time.
Yeah, I did the family thing. It was fine. I don't know.
Your family listens. You can't like denigrate your family.
No, I mean my there's this church that they rent out this weird room, and it's this side of the family that I don't really know most of the people there. I don't know probably 90% of the people there, but the food was good, and I gorged myself on.
Isn't that situation where they all know who you are, but you don't know who they are?
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, hello, Bradley, and hello, old
Anytime
woman.
there's a wedding in like my extended family or a funeral or something, and I end up in a church basement too, and everyone's like, oh, da 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 da, and it's like vaguely I've maybe seen you before, but they know who you are and how you're related to them and everything, so you just kind of go with the flow.
Right. I don't know if it's just I don't care. Or
it's probably that you don't care.
Probably.
I mean, I think that's why I don't, because it's not information that's that important to me. Well, it's not information that I use all the time
it's
either.
This group of people who you have nothing in common with and don't really ever spend any time with, but because you're vaguely related, there's supposed to be some sort of relationship.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's nice, I guess, but yeah, I wouldn't talk to them normally in my normal life, wouldn't hang out with them normally, probably.
But I think I think there are a lot of people that do have a better probably understanding of how they're related to everyone.
Yeah,
you know,
they pay attention.
Yeah, they pay attention to that kind of thing, and that, you know, they maybe send cards to people when things happen, or they know, like, if somebody dies in the family, they know who that person is, and they don't have to be told. Yeah, there's lots of marriages and children and all these things. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know. There's all these babies and like little children wandering around everywhere, and like, oh, that's your cousin Susie's blah blah. Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, and the problem is nowadays too how we're naming babies names that are like gender neutral. And then somebody will talk about somebody's baby, and I'll be like, oh, and I'll use the wrong his or her, with it. And then people will be like, no, that's... I'm like, I'm sorry, and I won't know which cousin the baby belongs to, because there'll be a couple babies born at the same time, and then you just look like a real asshole.
Yeah, they can't expect us to keep up with this shit. People keep having children and getting married. Great weekend, actually. I was forced to take Friday off after Thanksgiving. I didn't really want to, but my dad/boss is in Hawaii right now.
Oh, really? How nice for him.
Well, yeah, very nice for him. And so he forbade me from working on Friday because he doesn't want to pay me.
Yes.
Because I don't get any pay.
No vacation pay?
No vacation pay whatsoever. So I kind of wanted to work
It wasn't
Friday,
magnanimous. It was just like financial.
Yeah. But it was nice, though. It's been actually sunny, beautiful out. Wandering around and just seeing weird people all over the place. I don't know what it is, if the sun brought them out or something. I was downtown, and there was a guy just walking a goat. He had a goat on a leash.
Yeah.
He's just taking his goat for a walk.
Those are the people that like attention.
it seemed very odd to me. He was wearing he just looked like a normal kind of middle-class guy. He had a pygmy goat on a leash.
Yeah.
And he went to the Starbucks and tied the goat up outside the Starbucks and went inside, and this goat was just out there. It was just very odd.
I always think that's a weird thing to do too. But I know there are like men who take like adorable like puppies and walk them around so they can get attention from women.
Yeah, but that makes a little more sense. When you're going so deep to grab the goat, I don't know what he wants.
He wants attention.
Well, yeah, but you know, the dudes with the puppies, they want to have sex with a woman, I'm assuming. The guys with the goat, maybe they want something. Maybe
they just want. I don't think that it's necessarily sexual.
Maybe it's like a secret Satanist thing, where other Satanists will see you walking a goat around.
That's not a very good secret code, though.
No, I don't know.
To actually do something that's very unusual, you know, then people notice it, especially an animal that's associated with the occult like that.
The devil.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It was strange. And then there was this dude in these pajamas and a big staff that was walking around.
Yeah.
He was wearing pajama bottoms.
Fan.
Well, he was this big fat guy.
Do you have a beard?
No, he wasn't young either. He was like in his mid-50s maybe. He had red flannel pajama bottoms, green flannel pajama top, and then like a blue flannel robe and slippers and a giant ornate wooden carved staff. And he was just walking down the road.
Yeah.
What's
the sun's out, man.
Yeah, I guess it was just the sun. He probably is like a hermit in his room, never wears anything other than pajamas, and somehow a shaft of light broke through the duct tape that he has over his windows, and he went, and then he was forced to...
You're hanging out in the wrong area when the sun comes out. You should be heading up to the university and hanging out in the central courtyard of
that's true.
The university. That's where all the young, attractive girls come out.
Yeah, but it's cold, though, so they're not going to be running around in halter tops and things.
They'll come out.
Yeah, I guess. Because they're
famous for that.
I was out this weekend, and it was like 33 degrees, and there's chicks wearing little like spaghetti string strap. I don't know.
So I'm sure as we speak, there are college sophomores laying around the grass, like reading their book in like a bikini top, even though it's in the 40s right now. But the sun is peeking through the clouds.
Well, I love the chick walk where they've got ridiculously high heels. It's 32 degrees out. They're wearing some sort of halter top and like tiny micro mini skirt, and they have this weird hunch where they're trying to subsume their appendages as close into their bodies as they possibly can, but they're still kind of awkwardly walking on heels, and they're just freezing their fucking nipples off. But
it's gotta be awful.
God forbid they cover any skin and not have drunken men hit on them at all times.
And then if you're hanging out with other women at that time and they see that, they have the two reasons to just like go after those women, right? They're like, that's impractical to walk around like that, and look at them, they're sluts.
Yeah.
And boy, do they not like those people.
We could have a That's How Women Are about this, because I was experiencing this last night, too. Maybe we'll get into that in the next segment. But, the female judging of the other women.
Oh, yeah.
Because they know that those women are getting attention, and it irritates them.
Yeah.
And I guess I can kind of see that.
That's considered bad behavior by them. Maybe they're cheating or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. When they're bundled up in a sweater and like some sort of flannel thing, and then they see other women with their boobs hanging out everywhere.
I'm watching football this weekend, right? College football. Mm-hmm. And notoriously, if you watch the teams from the Southeast Conference, your Alabama, your Ole Miss, your LSU, attractive girls all over the crowd.
Yeah.
Honey shots left and right, showing them constantly. Then you watch the Wisconsin game or the Michigan game.
Yeah.
Man. You know what I mean? Just a bunch of bundled up, not very good looking kids hanging out in that crowd. And it's the same thing.
I guess ethnically those are mostly like Scandinavian-ish people, aren't they?
The people in the South?
No, the people like Wisconsin and stuff.
I guess so, yeah. But Scandinavians are attractive people.
No,
they're supposed to be. Tall, good looking.
Yeah. Look at us.
It's probably like the Poles.
Oh, yeah. Swarthy little bastards.
We just alienated the Pole listenership.
Yeah, so I went out a couple times this weekend, and usually I haven't been going out that often. But this weekend, I don't know, it was sunny, it was nice, I was having days off, and I was just in a better mood and thought I was more able to interact with people without
the rage.
Not even rage, but just like, ugh. And so I went out Friday night, and I decided I was going to make a concerted effort to engage people and be involved in what was going on.
Good.
And it was fun. It kind of backfired because I also decided that I wasn't going to go home without at least trying to interact with a girl.
Yeah.
And so there's this one girl I saw out. I was with some friends at a bar, and I got the look from across the bar.
Ooh.
So I was like, oh, something's going on here.
Yeah.
And so throughout the night, you go out and have a cigarette, and she just happens to be out there at the same time, and you kind of mosey up and then go make little comments here and there. And then finally at the end of the night, we had chatted a little bit, and she was out talking to friends, and then she said she was going to walk home. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going in that direction. I'll walk with you.
How convenient.
Yes. And she's
was it actually the right direction?
It was, yeah.
Okay, good.
I would go in the complete opposite direction if I had to, probably. But she's like, okay, yeah, let's walk.
Yeah.
So we're walking, we're chatting away, and everything. To me, it seems like I'm reading all the signals correctly and that things are going well, and that perhaps I should make some sort of overtures at some point. And then I did, and she went, no.
Oh.
And just very bald face, just like, no. And I went, okay. And she's like, I know about you.
Uh-oh.
And I went, what do you know about me? Like, I don't want to be just another one of your girls. I went, and I just kind of let it go. I was like, all right then. And I brought her to her house. And like, she walked in the front door. And as I'm walking away, what fucking girls is she talking about? This is so irritating to me.
Well, they're girls.
But if I'm gonna, I mean, I don't know who she was talking to. I don't know if she really knows anything about me or what. But the idea that there's this reputation or something that I have these girls. Well, where are these girls? I want these girls.
Around.
Yeah, but where? I haven't dated anyone for I don't know how long. If I'm going to have the reputation of being a womanizer, I want to have the womanizing part of that reputation.
Even if you've established this reputation in the past, it's still a reputation.
I don't know. It's really irritating.
If you're not living up to it right now.
I'm very much not living up to it right now. It's very depressing.
What was the overture you used?
It was just something about like, maybe we can have a drink or something, or it was nothing like pushy or anything.
Well, it's easier. I know it's easier if you're like walking towards your house because you want to come up for a drink, right? But it's harder to like invite yourself into someone else's house.
Well, and we were going, the way we were walking, we were going past my apartment first.
Oh, well, perfect. So you're like, you come up for a drink in my apartment.
And she was given all the signals, you know?
Yeah.
She even like held my hand at one point while we were walking.
Well, maybe she is like you on the street corner with that weird girl that walked past you and you gave the look to and she came back. Maybe she was just being nice to you.
That's possible.
In a pitying way.
Yeah.
And you misinterpreted it. And now you're that girl that was peeking around the corner.
Yeah. Well, and then I had another girl at one point. I was outside. There's the local bar Caps, and it's near another bar that is frequented by weird little college people.
Yes.
And at one point, some drunken girls were walking by, and I was out with a friend of ours. And this girl walked by and went, and like bumped into me and went, I'm Kaylee. And like got right in my face.
Yeah.
And then she sort of stumbled, and her friend grabbed her and kind of led her away, and then came up to me, sidled up next to me, and went, she wanted your cock. And then they just walked away.
Ew.
How do you react to that? I'll try to pencil you in so you can have my cock at a later date. Yeah. Isn't that just a little too much? It's not very ladylike.
Yeah. We've all had weird interactions like that. There's a thing with women where they're like, oh, I don't want to look like I'm too eager because I want to make sure the man has still the idea that he's hunting me, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think is complete bullshit for the most part. I think if you're like an attractive girl the guy likes and you like are like, hey, let's hang out, the guy's gonna be like really happy.
Exactly.
He's not gonna be, but if you do like stumble up to someone and like say that you want their cock,
they're all out cock hunting now.
It's apparently a little off-putting, maybe.
But I did finally have some success last night. I went out again and saw a great show. Some friends of mine were up from Seattle. It was kind of this folk rock post-punk.
Oh, yeah.
Be the nearest I could describe it.
One of America's most popular genres.
It's a very strange genre mashup, but it was a really cool show. And again, I was like, okay, I'm going to be engaged. Yeah. I'm going to enjoy myself.
Well, it worked so well for you the night before.
It did.
Yeah.
And so I went out and was talking to people and laughing and enjoying the music and stuff. And at one point, there were these two girls, quite attractive girls, and it was this tiny little club, and they were kind of up jammed into the front trying to dance, and they were like dancing together provocatively, you know, and doing the thing that pisses off the other girls who are sitting around. And I was sitting next to this one girl who was just like tisking the entire time. Like,
it's the same thing as wearing the skimpy clothing around, right?
She was irritated because all the men were watching the women dancing.
Yeah.
And you kind of couldn't help it because they were just right there. And so I noticed one of them, and I guess in some part to annoy the girl who was sitting next to me, I was like, okay, I'm going to engage with one of these girls.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And so the most attractive one who was dancing, I gave her a look while she was dancing, and then she went, and gave me a look back. Oh. And so there was the eyes meeting as she was gyrating around, and then I would look over at the girl beside me, and she was like, ugh. And it was kind of in fun, like she knew what I was doing sort of thing. And then later on at another bar, the girl who I had been making eye contact with was there. And again, I did the thing, you know, go out and smoke and make comments, be witty.
So when you're doing this, are you waiting for this person to get up and go out and smoke and then you just follow them out?
No, well, there's a little of both. There's a little pleasant happenstance, and then also you have to work the room. You have to know what's going on at all times.
I mean, are you watching this girl and seeing her go for cigarettes and then you rush out?
No, I'm not like jumping up and following her, but I might linger. If I see her out there, I might be like, oh, maybe I'll go have a cigarette. You know, that kind of thing. And so we started chatting as well. And it was the kind of thing where she was really, really attractive. And so I was thinking, I don't know if anything's going to go on here. She was
it seems unlikely if she's so attractive.
She was like 5'10" and rail thin, like model body and everything. You know, exactly my
your demographic.
But anyway, again, at the end of the night, walked her home. Again, she lived in the perfect area where it was in my direction, had a nice long walk.
You were like, hey, come on up.
No. I didn't even try that. No.
Why not?
I'm as sleazy as I may sound sometimes. I'm not really like...
What are you talking about? You just did it the night before.
Well, I didn't say specifically come up to my apartment. I was just like, well, maybe... I think...
What did you say?
The night before, I said something about like, do you want to go are you going right to bed? Are you tired? No, and that sounds bad.
But that's what that is.
No, I know, but it was kind of like, I think I might want to have a drink or something like that, you know? And just seeing if she would be like,
okay, this is the same thing as you like saying, I have a reputation because I did things in the past. Mm-hmm. You can't go out on Friday night and try something and then have another girl on Saturday night and then not try it and me act shocked and you'd be like, well, I'm not a sleazeball. You're expected to do the same thing two nights in a row.
Well, what happened, we stopped at certain points during the walk and made out a little bit.
Okay, good.
So there was already that. So I think
that was Friday night girl.
No, Friday night girl, nothing happened. The Saturday night girl, I made out with her.
Well, then you definitely should have invited that girl up for a drink, right?
Yeah, but I think maybe we had made out a little bit and then we were walking. And then I think by the time we were getting close, I sensed a withdrawal to a certain extent. You know?
Were there some nonverbal cues?
Maybe. Like
she was pulling away from your grasp?
Had my hands just... No, it's not like she had to pry my fingers off or anything like that. But I think, I'm pretty good at social cues, and I was getting the idea that I didn't want to push anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
What, did you exchange numbers with this person?
I did.
Oh, really?
But I have no expectations anymore about anything, so I'm not going to...
Oh, that's a good way to go, but, Are you going to call this person, though? At some point? Text message, maybe?
I'll probably do the text at some point.
Oh, good.
3 weeks later.
Is that how long you have to wait?
Hey, your number's in my phone. I can't remember who you are, but...
Oh, is that a thing people do when they try? Actually, it's a good plan, though, right?
Actually, the people have done that to me before, yeah. Like, they write me a text and say, who is this? Like, you're the one who texted me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Play it cool.
They wander the streets, scavenging for loose change and discarded cigarette butts.
Fair $1.
And give me a motherfucking cigarette.
I ran out of gas ways back. I got you, man.
You smoke weed, don't you?
Good, booze in my car.
I could use some change.
They may be mentally unstable and deserving of our charity, but that doesn't mean they can't be selected as... The Warren and Bradley Show, Street Freak of the Week!
Street Freak of the Week. This week, I don't have any particularly standout Street Freak. I have 3...
Don't undersell the feature.
I'm saying we have 3 snippets taken as a whole equal one really crazy Street Freak.
So sort of a collection of short stories.
Exactly. It's like an anthology, a Street Freak anthology. The first one went out into my parking lot behind the building, and there was a homeless man looking through our recycle bins.
Nothing unusual there.
He had an actual burlap sack, which I haven't seen ever, I don't think. I think in the 30s, people got potatoes in burlap sacks.
I know we had one in my dress-up box as a child that we could put on and pretend we were cavemen or hobos and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually seen somebody with a burlap sack, but this man had a burlap sack, and he was going through our recycling and finding things, I guess. I don't know how much money you get around here to actually bring cans and things in, but...
I think you get some money. I mean, especially for aluminum. You bring it in there and they weigh it and you get some money for it.
So he was rooting through there, and he was right near where my truck was parked, so I had to kind of sidle by him to get into the door of my truck. And so I went, excuse me, and he went... and just kind of chuckled.
Yeah.
And I went, so you find anything good in there? Okay. Okay, I need to get by you here. Very amused by what he was doing.
Yeah.
So I stopped for a second, And he was very kind of furtive in what he was doing, as though maybe he was doing something wrong, like he wasn't just collecting cans.
And that like sneaky laugh kind of makes me think something might be up to him. Yeah.
And so he just kept laughing over and over again, and then finally he walked away. And I looked in one of the bins that he had been rooting around in, and he had placed a bag of his own shit inside the recycle bin.
Yeah.
And that's what had amused him so much about his activity. It was in a plastic bag, like a doggy, like if you're walking your dog and it takes a shit and you scoop it up, except it was just way too much for a dog.
It's odd, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So did you think he took a dump somewhere and then picked it up as if it was dog
shit
crap off the ground and then put it in the recycle thing?
Which is conscientious. The fact that he put it in...
It's way more conscientious than usual, right?
Well, but the fact that he put it in the recycle... And he seemed to take it as a huge joke that he was putting it in the recycle bin. I don't know. There was a dumpster right next door that he could have just thrown it inside.
Maybe that was the
joke.
The funny part where he's hilarious. Like, this isn't where shit belongs. Shit belongs in the other bin.
He'll be on the stage soon. Like, I don't know. Turn this into an act of some sort. He's just trying it out on me. The next street freak, there's some kind of dark, violent street freaks out around town last night.
Oh, good.
Like,
beware, people of Bellingham.
Well, there was this weird, violent mood going on downtown. I got a text from my brother saying that some guy who was like baiting his dog or something, lunging at his dog, trying to get his dog to freak out, and so there was some weird fight involved with that.
This is a notorious weekend for fights in bars, though.
Why is that? Oh,
because it's the Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, and
when people come back and
come back into town.
People see their family, people see their old friends, people see their ex-girlfriends, and people start swinging.
Yeah, and I saw a couple fights just walking around downtown, like drunken college people. But then there's this group of giggling street freaks on one corner, and everyone who walked by, they would go "Meow!" and yell at them and then lunge at them and pretend to hit them. So like these little college chicks in their high heels and halter tops, like shivering, walking by, and then suddenly this giant street freak would go "Ah!" and lunge at them, and they go "Ah!" and scream and scurry away, and then they'd go
it's a good
and
prank.
all laugh and like high five each other. I don't understand.
Well, they're getting a reaction of the normals.
They are.
That's exciting for them.
Yeah. And then the last street freak, again, like just little snippets. Today when I was downtown, we have a lot of one-way streets downtown.
Yes.
And sometimes people make mistakes and they turn the wrong way onto a one-way street.
Yeah, well, it's not a big town, so people aren't used to going one way on streets. So I know every time I cross a street that's a one-way street, I always look the other direction from where cars should be coming.
Yeah.
Because it's quite often cars will be just coming that direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to look both ways.
You have to look both ways.
But there was this woman who had turned the wrong way onto a one-way street.
Yeah.
And you could see she was like, she realized what she had done, and she was all freaked out and frazzled. And there were people honking at her and stuff.
Yeah.
And the street freak who was walking down the road, and again, a like giant, beefy street freak, very intimidating, he saw her do it, and I could hear him go, "What the fuck?
Uh-oh.
Jesus fucking Christ."
Yeah.
Then he walked up to her car as she was kind of stuck there trying to figure out how to get out of the situation. He went, "Hey!" and banged on her driver's side window. It was like, "You stupid fucking cunt! You're going the wrong fucking way!"
That's
just like
nice.
Screamed at her, and she was like, "Ah!" You could tell she was about to just piss herself. She was so scared, and she was already freaked out because she knew she was going the wrong way on the street. And so I was like, okay, that was nice of the street freak. Then he sees me smoking a cigarette, walks up to me, he's like, "You see that fucking cunt?" Yes, I saw the cunt. And then he's like, "Can I have a cigarette?" "No." Can I give you $1 for a cigarette?" I'm like, "No." "I'll give you 50 cents for a cigarette." I'm like, that's less.
That's not a good negotiating.
That's less than you offered me to begin with. He's like, "Can I have a drag?"
No, definitely not.
You cannot have a drag of my cigarette. "Can I have the butt when you're done with it?" I don't want you to stand here watching me while I smoke this cigarette so you can have the butt when you're done. If I happen to be walking by you and I have a cigarette butt, I'll flick it in your direction maybe, and you can suck on the tip.
Yeah. I like the last street freak because it basically sums up all the reasons why I don't think my mother has been downtown ever in many, many years, despite living in this area, which is like, the traffic, one-way streets. It's like very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And she's
Crazy
afraid
people.
to walk down the streets. I know years ago I had dinner with her downtown, and she was like going to walk to her car, and I was going to walk home, but she like timidly wouldn't go outside, and I had to like walk with her down the block to her car because the place is just full of like lunatics screaming and doing weird things.
And who to us, we're not too worried about it.
We don't even notice it anymore.
I'm assuming a middle-aged woman would be a little freaked out.
Pretty much anyone that doesn't frequent that area.
Yeah.
It's a very weird scene that's going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so congratulations, Mr. Overly Aggressive Traffic Warden.
Yeah, thanks for maintaining the
freak.
reputation of downtown Bellingham.
You've been selected as the Street Freak of the Week.
Our hats are off to you, Mr. Homeless Man, because you've been selected as the Warner Bradley Show Street Freak of the Week. Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Yes, it is Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show. This week, top story, Rihanna tweets shirtless photo of Chris Brown in bed.
Oh boy, look at you getting all angry.
Okay, we had the story, I don't know if it was a couple weeks ago or whatever, where she was saying how her relationship with Chris Brown is nobody's business.
Yeah.
It was on the Facebook live chat or something like that. But then she goes and tweets a fucking picture of him shirtless in her bed. Come on, Rihanna. Who are you trying to fool here, woman?
Are you beginning to become convinced of what I've postulated since the beginning?
I'm convinced that it's all just bullshit.
After last week's story of, like, I don't like to talk about my personal life in a live chat with their fans on the internet, and now her...
And then the very next week... Yeah. I guess they spent all of Thanksgiving together or something, and basically... Who knows if they really did? This is... It's irritating to me, and I am rising to the bait, I guess, but now I'm to the point where I just don't even give a shit.
Was it like a SpongeBob?
He's laying on a Simpsons comforter. You can't see his face, but you can see his horrible tattoos all over him. So yeah, there you go. Who gives a shit? I'm
sure there'll be more next week.
I'm done with you, Rihanna. If you don't want to take my advice, then fuck you.
Oh.
Speaking of Rihanna and Chris Brown, Drake and Chris Brown were cleared over the club brawl that happened in New York. Police officials have dropped the case because they don't have enough evidence to proceed. This is famously the brawl where Drake and Chris were supposedly fighting over Rihanna.
Yes, and we mentioned this last week, actually. I think I mentioned Tony Parker getting his eye cut.
Yes. Tony Parker is actually suing the club because I don't know how that works. They should have prevented the fight from happening.
No,
prevent two superstars with giant entourages from interacting within your club.
Civil suits like that, you can do anything you want.
So basically, law enforcement says, this is from TMZ.com, say that no criminal charges will be filed against the two stars or members of their entourage because there was no evidence. I don't know there's hundreds of witnesses, tons
That's
of
tough
people.
to prosecute, though. How are you going to prosecute that?
I don't know.
Look at, there's a picture of Chris Brown here, and he's wearing like a pink baseball hat.
Yeah, he's a fucker. You had a story that you wanted to mention on Celebrity Minute, Warren. You did some research this week.
Oh, I did. Wayne Coyne grenade debacle. A Flaming Lips singer shuts down Oklahoma airport with grenade.
This is the most ridiculous story. I don't know if any of our audience are fans of Wayne Coyne and the Flaming Lips. I find him insufferably obnoxious.
I don't know. He's grown on me over the years.
Yeah, well, just because he's so zany,
because he's zany,
or just clueless and fucked up all the time.
He's legitimately zany guy. You know how I think that maybe Rihanna's manipulating us in a lot of ways?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure Wayne Coyne is.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure Wayne Coyne isn't just a weird guy.
I don't think he can help himself. But what happened is he was in the Oklahoma City airport. He was trying to go to New York to watch a preview of his musical for Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots, apparently. Yeah. And he had a grenade in his bag. It was not live. But what's the thought process? I guess there is no thought process.
Obviously, just didn't think about it.
And how come he's not in jail?
That's interesting, isn't it?
They shut down the entire airport.
Well, I know there was a problem, too, when they shut down the airport, and they had a hard time dealing with the whole situation because they didn't actually have any sort of explosive expert that they could consult or bring in. So there was this huge panic at the airport there.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't exactly think it's like JFK or anything. It's the Oklahoma City airport. But it's still, I mean, it's very inconvenient for a lot of people who are there.
Yeah, I don't know how big of a hub
no, I don't think
Oklahoma City
I know.
airport is. But the thing that bugs me about this is obviously they have to have the security precautions and do all the bullshit. But let's say it were a live grenade and it went off. The blast radius is only like 30 feet. What's it going to do?
Well, if it gets in the plane.
If it's in the plane. But they found it. So why do you shut the airport down once you've found the grenade?
Well, this is I don't like the reaction the TSA does in a lot of these situations, right? Because somebody will just like run through the security area to like kiss their loved one goodbye, and they'll grab them and take them out, but then they'll shut the whole airport down.
Well, did you hear recently about, I think it was a TSA worker, his little tiny daughter ran through the security checkpoint to kiss him or to like hug him, and they fired him. and shut down the airport.
Yeah.
It's a little girl saying goodbye to her dad. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be a little bit more sanity.
There's no common sense or sense of proportion in this at all. And we're still, pulling 90-year-old wheelchair-bound women out of the line and strip searching them or making them take their shoes off.
Yeah.
Their orthopedic slippers. It's ridiculous. We need to do more profiling. That's my opinion anyway.
Well, it works for the Israelis.
Here's a story that isn't really a story. It's just something that magazines like to publish when they have no news of anything. It's Lindsay Lohan. I don't regret anything I've done. It's from Us magazine. Lindsay Lohan is quickly becoming the girl who cried comeback, but she swears this time she's serious about getting her act together. I want to be known as an actress, not a troubled starlet. People can think what they want, but the only thing I can do is prove them wrong. She's not doing a very good job of that yet.
You're right. That's not a story.
No.
But you can't go an entire week without talking about Rihanna. You can't go an entire week without talking about Lindsay Lohan, because they're always there.
It's in the rules.
Amanda Bynes has gone a few weeks out of the news cycle.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on with her.
Maybe she's dead somewhere.
Maybe.
It can't be that much longer before we hear something more about her.
Story goes on. Over the last several years, the former child star has endured a seemingly endless string of public humiliations, including but not limited to 5 stints in rehab, 6 arrests, multiple career setbacks, and countless family fights, some of which culminated in frantic calls to the police. But Lohan says she's a better person and a better actress for all of it. I love this quote. I regret nothing, because then I wouldn't be able to cry in scenes at the drop of a hat, she explains. I have it tattooed, live without regrets. I'm not saying I wanted to go to jail, but I've drawn from all of it.
I don't understand that sentence.
There's plenty of actresses can cry because they're actresses, and they act as though they're sad. Apparently, Lindsay Lohan has to go to jail, and then she can draw from that experience.
Oh, that's what it meant? It meant the fact that she had done all these awful things made her sad so she could cry?
When she's on screen, yeah. When she's
I thought it was something about how, I can't regret things, because if I regret things, I can't cry?
No.
Okay.
No. She was just bragging about how now she's able to cry on cue, and it's because she's gone to jail and done all these horrible things.
Oh, good.
I guess
all actresses should do awful things so you can cry in your one crying scene you have during your career.
Or if you're an actual actor, you can act like you're sad.
That seems a little rough.
Let's see. This is a weird story that I just found strange. The headline is Jennifer Aniston's school crush speaks out after 31 years. And all the story is some doofus named Adonis Silemperis.
Adonis, really?
Adonis. I guess he's Greek. When he was 12 years old at a school in New York, him and Jennifer Aniston were little sweethearts, and they kissed occasionally.
Nice.
And now he's giving interviews, and people are publishing his accounts of their steamy affair. Basically, the quote is, she was very, very open and very sweet. She was very, very loving, and she had a very big heart. We used to go to the back stairs at school and make out.
Yeah, that's not a story.
That's a story. And apparently he has a Valentine's Day card from her where she says, Dear Adonis, love and friendship always. Love ya, Jennifer A.
Why is this coming out right now?
I don't know. I just know this 12-year-old Adonis, somehow he knew in the future that Jennifer Aniston was going to be famous. He took her Valentine's Day card and sealed it in lucite and put it in a chest somewhere. And then he waited until the time was right, 31 years later, so he could come out with his story.
Yeah,
and
I don't understand. Yeah,
the
why?
fact that it even gets published in a magazine, people are paying any attention to Adonis Silly Sapampa, whatever the fuck his name was.
There's nothing. Yeah, there's literally nothing to the story.
No.
Besides for the fact that Jennifer Aniston was a person.
Yes.
Which isn't a story at all.
She had a childhood.
She had a childhood. If Jennifer Aniston had, never done anything her entire childhood,
yes,
that would have been a pretty interesting story.
If she had been grown in a vat and just came out as a pod person, freshly made for
Adonis had been 45 at the time, now you got yourself a story.
Well, I just can imagine Adonis's friends, oh, Jesus Christ. They're out at a bar somewhere, and it's I used to date Jennifer Aniston.
We know Adonis.
You were fucking 12, Adonis.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck
impressive.
Up. And last story, because we can't go a week without speaking about Rihanna or Lindsay Lohan or Justin Bieber. Mm-hmm. He has not stopped reaching out to Selena Gomez. According to Us magazine, they just can't let go. Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez can't seem to make up their minds about the status of their relationship. Following an October 31st split, Bieber, 18, and Gomez, 20, have reunited multiple times. A Friday, November 16th sushi date led to a blowout fight, which we discussed last week.
Oh, yeah, we've covered that.
Selena!
Consult episode 52 if you want to know more about that story.
Get in the archives. Another source revealed that Bieber wanted to experience other girls, and that's been the biggest cause of the rift between the two of them. Yeah. He isn't sold on the possibility that this is forever, but but isn't sold on the fact that it's not. Another factor in their reluctance to say goodbye, they are best friends, so breaking that habit is tough. So
that's what teenagers dating, that seems to happen.
We're still faced with the prospect that I find hard to swallow, that he's out there just screwing everything with legs.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give it to him. I'm going to accept the fact that Rihanna and Chris Brown are fucking with everybody, and I will accept the fact that Justin Bieber is getting hand jobs in the dressing room at every performance.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go there now.
Thank you.
All right.
This is we're really making a lot of progress.
And with that revelation, let's end Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
This has been Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
In keeping with our tradition of staying completely fresh at all times, I finally watched The Dark Knight Rises, which has been out for...
I still haven't watched
how many months?
So
5
you
months
beat
or
me
something.
to it, yeah.
I beat you to it. I actually got a advanced screener copy of it. It's not actually out on DVD yet.
Oh,
but
it's not?
I procured a version of it on Blu-ray.
Are you admitting to like stealing intellectual property on the internet?
Shh, quiet.
Wow.
No, it was screened for me as a member of the media.
Yeah, as a member of the Academy that you
I was
are.
able to watch.
You're the one that voted for Shakespeare in Love, as I recall, right?
Yes.
For Best Picture?
Yes, that was my fault. So I finally watched the film, and it was good. This is my little capsule movie review. The funny thing is, I was watching it by myself.
That's not funny. That's sad.
Well, it was long, maybe a little portentous in parts, kind of grim and weighty, but still a lot of great set pieces and everything. And it was enjoyable, and the ending was very satisfying. Like, I couldn't imagine them having a more satisfying ending to the film. Wrapped up loose ends, and you left the theater or the couch with a smile. But the thing that I loved the most about it was I had seen very, very little in the way of previews, didn't really know anything about the plot. I knew that Tom Hardy was playing Bane in the movie, the main villain, but I hadn't seen anything about his performance. And I like Tom Hardy as an actor. But when I first started watching it, one of the first scenes is this huge set piece that I guess is in IMAX if you watched it on an IMAX theater.
This what takes place in the airplane?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard about this, yeah.
Yes, there's a set piece where Tom Hardy's Bane character lets himself be captured by the CIA agent, and they're in this plane, and the guy's trying to interrogate people. And I had never heard Bane's voice yet on any of the previews or anything. And suddenly it was like Carcetti from The Wire was the CIA dude. And he's got this one guy with his head outside the door of the plane. He's like, tell me, who's Bane? Who is Bane? And then he pretends to shoot the guy, but doesn't. He's like, I just threw him out the plane. He didn't know how to fly or something like that. And he's like, gets the next guy. He's like, why won't you talk? And then suddenly you hear Bane, and it's like,
maybe he's wondering why you'd shoot a man before throwing him out of a plane.
It's like, what is this? Where did this voice come from? And then I just started laughing hysterically. Anytime Bane would speak in the movie, like there's all these great quotes.
It was like muffled?
It was, well, he has this mask on over his face. And it's just this weird, like, it sounds like some British colonialist or something who would be having tea in Rhodesia and going rhino hunting or something like that. But coming out of this muffled mask and coming out of a man who, I don't know how tall Tom Hardy is, maybe like 5'10", but he's just massive in the movie, just freakishly large. And then there's another part where Batman, he's like beating Batman, and Batman is like, why didn't you just kill me?
Yeah.
Your punishment must be more severe.
Like, this is the best thing in the world.
What was Christian Bale doing as a, like, why did you kill me? Like, whisper
Not
voice?
Not at that point, because his mask was off.
Oh, that's right. He doesn't have to whisper when his mask's off. That always took me out of the other movies.
That really irritated me at first, but then I was just like, that's fine.
You're used to it in this movie?
It's fine.
Okay.
It doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan.
So the whole time I was watching the movie, anytime he would speak, I would laugh hysterically, pause the movie, and then do my own version of it, and then laugh again. And then I realized at one point that nobody was there. I was by myself performing these Bane quotes for an audience of my gerbils, I guess. And they didn't seem that impressed.
Oh, you were like doing the voices?
Yes, I kept pausing the movie and then doing it after Bane, and then laughing uproariously, and then watching more of the movie again.
Oh, that's kind of weird and sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. So it was a good film. I recommend it. I'm sure that there might be at least 2 or 3 people who haven't seen it yet in the audience. So based on my recommendation, you can go out and watch it.
And you can all rush out and see the version with Shia LaBeouf, directed by Michael Bay, that I'm sure will follow in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're going to do with the property, if they're going to reboot the whole thing. But after Avengers made $84 billion, then everyone wants to get in on the action, I guess.
I think the last superhero one I saw was probably the last Batman one. I really haven't seen any of these superhero movies.
Yeah. It's weird how it's a genre now. Every studio has to put a superhero movie out every year.
Yeah, well, they have to do it because they have to maintain the rights to the characters, right? Or else they revert back to Marvel or whatever. And it's also something where people will just show up, whatever kind of like feces you throw on the screen, so they just keep making them.
I watched the Avengers. It was entertaining. It wasn't high art or anything, but it was amusing.
It shouldn't be high art.
No, it's a comic book.
Yeah.
And that's what some of the complaints about the Nolan Batman movies have been, is like, where's the camp? Where's the fun? But if you think about the character of Batman, he was supposed to be kind of grim originally.
Well, I remember my dad telling me about when the Batman TV series came out when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And how he was really anticipating it. He's very excited about this TV series about Batman. And he was crushed and disappointed by the like
ridiculous,
stupid, campy way the show was made.
Yeah.
And it's like, this isn't what I want to see. I want to see Batman, kicking ass and stuff.
Yeah. The Bat-Tusi.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I guess that was easier to make than to make like a serious Batman TV show.
Well,
I'm sure the serious Batman TV show would be much funnier than the actual
probably
comity Batman TV
thinking
show.
about the production value.
Yeah, it would have been like terrible, right?
Yeah. Because they're wrestling with rubber sharks and things like that. And,
yeah. Which I don't know if that was the original way they intended to do it, or that when they were shooting it, they were like, we have to like just go with this as a joke because it looks stupid. Adam West has like a pot belly and acts like an idiot. So it's like, we can't make this a serious show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw the new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. He was fine in it. I liked the cast, but it was the same fucking movie that the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man was. It was the origin story all over again. Many of the same beats from the same film. It's one thing if you want to reboot a movie and kind of do a different take on it.
Yeah, but it's also like, talk about like an acceleration of like the culture though, right?
I know. It used to be it would take maybe 10 or 15, 20 years to
and then
take
people
a
would
property.
even be like, it's much too soon. They just made that movie, but now it's like
a couple years.
Just a couple of years later, you make the same exact movie over again.
Yeah.
But people show up to the movie and watch it.
They do.
Because they want to have that same experience they had before. It's also a risk for the studios, right? To just remake the same movie over and over again.
We need to go back to our childhoods, find some shitty property that nobody has thought about in 20 years and create a movie about it. Just because apparently if people just have heard of something before, that means that it'll be... I mean, look at them...
It's some built-in audience at that point. If
I guess, but...
Dark Shadows.
Some of the shit that they pick. Yeah, like Dark Shadows.
Yeah.
How big of a following did Dark Shadows have, Like, why bother taking this tired old property and making a movie about it because, there might be a little bit of brand recognition? I had never heard of Dark Shadows before.
I don't know. Maybe it's just an easier pitch than pitching something original.
And like they did the Land of the Lost movie, like the shittiest show that was ever on television with weird rubber lizard people, and it just makes no sense.
Maybe we should remake Romancing the Stone, which I remember watching with you and your dad when I was a kid.
My mom loved that movie for some reason.
I remember watching at your house multiple times.
Yeah. It seemed like it was always on. It was just on a loop on our VHS player.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird.
And The Shining, too. I remember watching The Shining.
Yeah. My dad had this weird thing where I wasn't allowed to watch any violence or sex, but horribly disturbing psychological things I could watch when I was 4 years old. Yeah. I had nightmares about those little girls forever. And the old woman, the chick in the bathtub who turns into the scabby old woman, I was like 4 years old watching this shit.
Yeah, I just rewatched it a week or two ago, and it was still...
It's still disturbing.
Yeah, it wasn't as terrifying as it was when we were maybe like 7 when we were watching it.
Yeah.
But it was still like, I wouldn't want to watch this if I was a kid, you know?
All right, so this has been Movie Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Talking about old Batman movies and The Shining.
We like to keep it
The Shining will be coming to a theater near you very soon.
Yes. So some of our listeners may be aware that after President Obama was reelected, several states submitted petitions to the White House website to secede from the Union.
This is the right-wing analog to Cher claiming she's going to move to Canada.
Right.
It's sore loser bullshit.
I had tons of friends. I remember when George W. Bush was reelected the second time, or reelected the first time. I'm moving to Canada. Yeah, going right to Canada.
It's all over now.
Yeah,
the country's doomed.
If you move to Canada, I will be very surprised. But Texas, along with Alabama, Florida, Colorado, Louisiana, and Oklahoma, have submitted petitions to the White House website. Only the Texas petition has received enough signatures to actually have the White House review it and issue a statement.
There's a threshold. You have to pass like 25,000 signatures.
You have to get 25,000 signatures. As of now, the petition has over 125,000, I believe.
Yeah, 119, something like that.
116,000.
So the White House is supposed to respond to this petition.
Yes, and I don't know what that entails exactly. Just like, good for you.
I'm sure there's some like young, speechwriter there who's sitting there like thinking about what he's going to write. Well, he has to he can't be like insulting or condescending.
Right.
But he has to write something in response.
This has been something that's kind of been broiling around in Texas ever since it was annexed
of all
by
the states,
U.S.
right?
Because it was a sovereign country.
Yeah, there was a
briefly.
sovereign country, and people from Texas have a very much of a Texas identity, right?
Yes, they think of themselves as Texans first.
Us as Washingtonians, we don't have that same sense of being a Washingtonian at all. We have this rivalry with Oregon.
Yes.
Where we talk shit and stuff.
Well, Oregon is stupid.
But basically, we're the same exact state in a lot of ways.
Well, kind of.
The Texans, people like to wear their big hats around and be like, I'm from Texas, I'm from Texas. Yeah. And you're like, I get it, you're from Texas. Well, it's like New Yorkers are that way, too.
Their economy is larger than the country of Australia. That's one of the arguments that people are making who are pro-secessionists.
They would be fine if they were their own country.
They probably would be fine.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting idea. Obviously, they're never going to be able to secede. It would never happen. But I don't even know what political machinations would have to go on to actually legally secede from the Union.
Well, we had a dispute about that many years ago.
Yes.
Hopefully, it won't ever come to that.
Yeah. I doubt we'd get into another.
Because what do you think would happen? If Texas was like, the governor came out and said, we are the Republic of Texas.
Right.
Do you think there would be like a military response?
I don't know.
What would the soldiers at Fort Hood do, right? Would they attack?
There's all these federal installations in Texas.
They attack the people within Texas to try to keep them in the United States, or would they join the Republic of Texas?
I don't know.
Because and the other thing is, they're from all over the place.
Yeah.
They're not Texans.
It's an interesting scenario.
It's an interesting scenario in the sense that it would be a good, alternative history novel if somebody wanted to write that.
If somehow it was inexorable, like this was going to happen, I don't think the federal government would want another war. But obviously, I don't think Texas would be able to fight off the entire U.S. Army.
No.
They're sitting there with their Winchester repeaters at the Alamo.
The South during the Civil War, the people... Well, the white people in the South were very much supporters of secession, right?
Yes.
And they failed.
Yes.
In Texas, maybe you're looking at maybe a little over 50% of the people want to secede.
Yeah.
There's no way they could pull it off unless they had massive support and people were willing to fight for it.
Do you have any siblings in Texas, Warren? Be brother against brother when we're drafted into the Unionist Army and we have to fight those Texans?
I want to see the Ken Burns documentary with Dixie playing behind it and me tearfully talking about how I had to shoot my brother Texan.
I don't think I have any family at all in the South.
I do not believe I do either.
Yeah.
I've been to Texas.
So I could kill those Rebs without blinking my eye. I don't care.
Well, you wouldn't fight, though, would you?
I don't know.
Talk about something you don't have a vested interest in, right?
No, not at all.
It's because you hang out in Houston so much and you want to be able to get through there without a passport.
Right.
It doesn't, it doesn't really matter.
Vermont, there's always been talk of secession in the past. Maine as well. They would always have their little petitions.
The problem is, of course, with Vermont in Oklahoma and Colorado, who wants to have another country right in the middle of the country like that? It's like landlocked in that way.
It's tough to defend that border against all us illegal immigrants.
Well, how do you feel about Quebec?
Oklahoma. Yeah.
If you had a choice, if our little French friend who was trying to buy something in the mini mart the other day,
Pierre Lemecq,
asked you what do you think? Would you say, oh yeah, go ahead, become the Republic of Quebec?
Because he apparently can't speak English,
and
he would just go, yes, Pierre. What was the question?
Would you support Quebec independence?
I have no vested interest. I wouldn't give a shit. I know that they are the Quebecois. Is that what they call themselves?
Yeah. Bloc Quebecois, I think it's a political party.
They don't consider themselves Canadians. And especially that population that's almost monolithic.
Well, that's the thing. They're much more distinct because they're culturally and linguistically distinct.
Right.
Unlike the Texans, who are somewhat culturally distinct in the fact that they like to barbecue in certain ways.
Right, and they shoot their guns
linguistically,
in the air.
they talk, they speak English.
Sort of.
It's much different than Quebec trying to break off.
Right.
And I mean, even in Quebec, they don't ever win a majority when they put that on the ballot. I'll say this, though. Like we've said about, like, apocalyptic scenarios where, you know, we have to fight the zombies or we have to, you know, it would be interesting.
Yeah.
You know, if Texas broke off and we have a constitutional crisis.
How long do you think that war would last?
I can't imagine a war like that happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and then let's say the United States takes back control of Texas, but it turns into like Iraq or Afghanistan where there's like
freedom
partisans like blowing up things all over the place. Oh,
maybe
and
we could go be mercenaries in Texas. We've talked about this. I still think we should try to go to, is it Florida, where the jumping off point to become a mercenary in Central America?
Really?
I think people go to Florida.
And they have like recruiters
there?
And
they train, yeah.
Are you thinking of the Bay of Pigs? What?
I don't know. Maybe that was something to do with Cuba. No, there was something, I thought it was like Florida, they have training camps, like mercenary camps.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Who's trained mercenaries?
People who,
like rebel armies in Nicaragua or something?
Yeah, you just go and fight for warlords down there. I think there's companies. I don't think like mercenary training incorporated.
Like Blackwater?
I don't know.
I don't think that the United States government would allow like foreign powers to train mercenaries on like in Florida.
Well, I think it's like it's like a temp agency. It's an American company. They train mercenaries and then they find you positions.
Well, there might be something like that, but I don't think they just like take like you, who have, you know, some experience in the construction trades and then turn you into a soldier. I think they take ex-soldiers with training and then like hire them out. Yeah.
Perhaps.
That makes more sense. I don't think they want to send you through like their little boot camp and like turn you into a soldier.
It's still my dream.
French Foreign Legion, my friend. There you go.
All right. I think that's enough time for the Warren and Bradley Show this week. This has been one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
This is your other host, Warren Van.
Saying,
the Republic of Texas will rise.
This has been the Warren and Bradley Show, brought to you by Warren Van and Bradley Victor. For podcast news and information, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Warren and Bradley. Follow the show on Twitter at Warren and Brad. Subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. For episode archives and episode pictures, go to warrenandbradley.com, and to contact the show, write to podcast@warrenandbradley.com.